Social issues and social justice are topics I'm very passionate about. Topics revolving around various types of oppression and injustice are incredibly important, and have in large part led me to pursue community services as a career. Often discussions around social justice and social issues are incredibly in-depth and complex. That said, these discussions by their nature are incredibly emotive and have limited outcomes. The public opinion on these issues greatly affect the lives of various diverse people, and your opinion on these issues is either correct or incorrect. There's really no room for enlightened centrism. Hence why billionaires, politicians, and corporations love them. Chapter 1. Meet Nicolle. Nicolle Flint is a Liberal MP. She has made a stand against misogynists everywhere by wearing a garbage bag to Parliament to represent their garbage opinions. I don't get it either, but let's not dwell on it. Instead, let's familiarise ourselves with Nicolle. Here are some of her garbage opinions, in no particular order. She has voted against a royal commission into violence against people with disabilities. She has voted in favour of decreasing welfare availability. She has voted in favour of drug testing welfare recipients. She voted against an anti-corruption commission, just for all you people who think privacy is invalid because if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear. She voted against supporting Aboriginal land rights. She voted against gambling restrictions. And my favourite, she voted against decreasing the gender pay gap. Girl power, am I right? There is so much more shit this woman has done. I'd highly encourage you to read the first link in the description that shows us exactly what she voted for in government. In my opinion, Nicolle Flint is an irredeemably terrible person with garbage opinions. She uses feminism as a shield when it suits her, and turns her back on women when it follows the party line. I don't blame anyone who liked the sentiment of this video without knowing Nicolle's true beliefs, or lack thereof. However, to a trained eye, it's obvious Nicolle Flint is about as genuine as a knockoff iPhone. Unfortunately, this trained eye isn't exclusive to the left. Chapter 2. Remember manspreading? For all those unfamiliar, a few years ago BuzzFeed released a video that basically shamed dudes on public transport for having their legs too far apart. Rest assured, everybody hated that video, and for good reason. Shaming people for the way they sit is just shitty and not feminist. This video was a poor representation of feminist theory, and that's what made it so appealing to reactionaries. Heaps of people from the sad corners of the internet flocked together to hate on this video. BuzzFeed manspreading was not the first video to do this, but it further cemented feminism as a bad thing in the minds of a wider audience. BuzzFeed manspreading commits the cardinal sin of representing an idea poorly, while doing irreversible damage to feminist and progressive ideas. And for what? So a multi-million-dollar media company can appeal to a progressive audience without making anything of substance. Why doesn't BuzzFeed make anything of substance? Well, I'm glad you asked. BuzzFeed won't report on anything that conflicts with their sponsors. Because of this, BuzzFeed will love to tell you that the wage gap is bad, but won't go into any of the underlying reasons as to why it exists. These questions conflict with the interest of BuzzFeed's sponsors, so BuzzFeed doesn't give these questions the time they deserve. Instead, all discussions by BuzzFeed are incredibly smug and shallow. Chapter 3. Shut up, Bill. Yanez. If there's one thing I hate, it's the news and media whining about there not being enough female CEOs. Oh no, there aren't enough women in uber-privileged societal positions that I and many others will never get close to experiencing. Such a tragedy to befall mankind. It's obvious to everyone that more female representation in fields that should not exist in the first place is not going to solve any of our underlying societal issues. Gender bending the top 1% doesn't address anything, it just gives the problems of a failing capitalist society a pink hat. Chapter 4. Woke brands. Remember when Skittles made white lollies to give the rainbow back to LGBT people or whatever? Why did they do that? While yes, there has been a lot of support for LGBT people as of late, there are still a lot of homophobes out there. Definitely enough to leave a sizable dent in the sales if all of them boycotted Skittles as a result. At least, in theory. See, it turns out, as a boycott comes around, the name Skittles gets said a lot. This can result in millions of dollars of free advertising from people trying to punish their actions. For Skittles, this is great. After all publicity is good publicity. For LGBT people, however, this is not the case. For LGBT people, we now face the elevated and amplified voices of those who'd like to force us back into the closet, all as a result of Skittles trying to increase their market share. Social issues are some of the most important and lasting topics in history. The way in which people are oppressed are quite rightly really important discussions. Don't let them be watered down. Don't let those in power use them to divide and conquer us as a community. Don't let their insincere and cringy pandering win you over as a consumer, voter, follower or supporter, because those empty platitudes are made at your expense.